Well, it's another busy weather night in the eastern half of the United States. We've got a slew of tornado and severe thunderstorm watches up. A nor'easter for the Northeast, Wednesday into Thursday. And of course, we're still trying to figure out the Memorial Day holiday weekend. But we'll figure it out right here on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by shopping on Amazon. If you shop on Amazon, use a referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board and also on the descriptor to this podcast when you go on YouTube. Just use the link to get you to Amazon, do your shopping, and Amazon will send us a little bit of coin. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once here. It's wonderful to be talent and a director at the same time. Anyway, Amazon will send us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It keeps the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, at least the live version, commercial free. And I know you like that. So, very tired tonight, Joe. I finished my landscaping this afternoon. So I had some fried chicken for lunch, and then I sat down on the couch around 1 o'clock, and the next thing I know, it was 3 o'clock because I fell asleep. So um, it was one of those days. However, I will say that my yard looks, I think my yard looks very good. And also, in between all of this, in between putting down mulch and running trips to Walmart, I stopped at the beauty parlor and got my hair done, and I got my beard done too. So I am feeling very alive again now that my hair, I let my hair get way too long, so it just had to go. I feel so much better. But anyway, I have a tornado watch here, just so you know, here in North Georgia. And there's a whole bunch of tornado watches up, which we're going to get into. And of course, Joe's going to do the radars tonight because the radars, once again, are busy with lots of severe thunderstorm warnings and lots of tornado warnings. And got a little nor'easter for later Wednesday into Thursday for you.
Lovely, lovely. And, just as my lawn was starting to dry out from all the wet weather we had last week, and now here we go again with more wet weather beginning tomorrow, lasting through Thursday, continuing into Friday, maybe a few lingering showers on Saturday. And if we do break out into any dry, fine weather here, it will probably not come until, at the earliest, Sunday, and hopefully continuing into the holiday on Monday.
All right. Saturday's not even Saturday. I kind of envision Saturday as a day of like, um, self-destruct, sunshine and clouds, and some little patchy areas of showers around. I don't think it's going to be an all-day rain for Saturday.
No, I don't think it's going to be an all-day rain either. I think what we're going to see is the after effects of the storm, the nor'easter that you have mentioned. Um, it'll be just to our north and east on Friday, so close enough to keep us under cloud-filled skies with, I wouldn't say frequent showers, but the threat of showers all through the course of the day, especially in the afternoon on Friday. And there'll still probably be enough moisture and instability around to kick off a few showers on Saturday. Not a washout, but still may get a little wet. And then finally, I think we'll dry out completely for Sunday and Monday.
Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and to those of you watching in the background, lurking about, or perhaps you're new to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Welcome. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're off on Fridays and Saturdays unless there's a storm or system around that's going to have some impact, because everybody needs at least a couple of days off to unwind, and that's what we do on Fridays and Saturdays. So subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And of course, if you like the show, Joe, what should they do?
I don't know. What should they do, Joe?
Well, what do you
Oh,
think they
yes.
should do?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up button.
That's right. Correct.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do tonight is, since you're going to do the radars, why don't I just I'll set you up with everything that's going on and what SPC is doing, and then we'll do the radars right after that. Does that make a lot of sense to you?
Yes,
Okay, so I'm going to go do that. You get your radars on the screen, and then when I'm done, we'll switch over to you.
yes,
So,
okay.
here's a look at the watches and warnings map tonight from the Weather Service, and you see a lot of yellow and some pink. The yellow tornado watches from northeast Louisiana across much of the northern half of Mississippi, northernmost Alabama, and northernmost Georgia, including me here in North Georgia, just about all of Tennessee and southern Kentucky. There have been a number of tornadoes, and also a number of tornado warnings that are on the map right now. Also, a few flash flood warnings in southern, south central Kentucky. Flash flood watches extended to West Virginia. Some new flash flood watches are up in southwest Pennsylvania and northeastern West Virginia. Now, that has to do with this weather system moving eastward tomorrow. It doesn't really have to do with the severe weather that's going on at the moment. And as we take a look on the satellite loop, you'll notice a ton of lightning strikes again, second night in a row, but it's further east today. And there's a fairly solid line of storms that's running from central Kentucky southwestward into northern Louisiana. And there's also a renegade area. Looks like a second mini line has formed ahead of the main line, and that's in northern Alabama into central Tennessee that's pushing east. And there's also another cluster of storms that's moving out of Illinois and northern Illinois into northern Indiana. And there were some cells in eastern Kentucky and in western North Carolina. Those seem to have died off at the moment. And the clouds now are starting to push into Pennsylvania and into northern Virginia. And of course, you see the heavy overcast back through the Dakotas and the western lakes and the rotation that is spinning in northwestern Illinois. That's the upper feature and the surface low that is moving eastward. And as I said, on the wide shot of the radar, there's rain into western Pennsylvania. There's actually a little bit of rain aloft as far southeast as Delaware. Uh, Not making a lot of northward progress at this time. The steadier rains are to the west. And of course, the radar's very busy with a lot of watches and warnings and a lot of tornado warnings that are up. And as I said, Joe's got the local radars, so he's going to take you on a radar tour to see what's going on in the land of severe weather.
All right. And before I get into the radars, Joe, did you hear that? I'm not sure if it's the Louisville or the Frankfurt National Weather Service Forecast Office is now officially closed between midnight and 6 a.m. They're
I heard the London, Kentucky office was closed.
all right.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Period.
regardless, I mean, like we just saw, and we're going to show you right now, the state of Kentucky. At least half of the state is under a tornado watch right now, and yet one of the National Weather Service Forecast Office, which is charged with giving all of the advisories, latest updates, latest warnings, are closed or is closed between midnight and 6 a.m. because of the what's been going on with the funding situation that the current administration feels it's necessary to close certain weather service offices, not completely for the moment, but at least part time. So if you're in the tornado zone in Kentucky, and if you happen to be threatened by severe weather, let's say in the late night hours tonight or in the pre dawn hours tomorrow morning, I only hope that you somehow are made aware of it somehow or other because, again, one of the forecast offices in Kentucky, well, they're not open for business in the overnight hours apparently now. So, although I think I read yesterday, Joe, that out of concern for the people who are in the zone of severe weather, that they found a way to shuffle the schedule so that there would be people around in the overnight hours during the time when the weather was most threatening. So, and that was done more or less out of concern for the general public, not out of concern for, you know, money situation.
Right.
Yeah, this is what, as Tom Grant, and Joe and I knew Tom very well, one of the lead forecasters here in the New York area for many, many years back in the 70s and 80s. As Tom Grant used to say, the National Weather Service is the people's service. They are out to serve you. And you didn't lose any money by funding the National Weather Service. In fact, you made more than your fair share back for the work that these men and women did to keep you safe. And unfortunately, there are individuals now who feel that it's not necessary to have some of these offices open. Play it by. I can hardly wait. A lot of people have been saying the same thing. What's going to happen during the hurricane season? Well, we're going to see. We're going to find out, aren't we? But
Yeah.
right now we have tornadoes, and one of the states that is right in the epicenter or the bullseye zone, one of their weather service offices is shut down in the overnight hours. So what are you going to
Well,
do?
at the moment, we've got 26 severe weather warnings, 9 tornado warnings, 17 severe thunderstorm warnings. 4 of those warnings are in Alabama, 1 in Illinois, 3 in Indiana, 2 in Kentucky, 2 in Louisiana, 5 in Mississippi, 2 in South Carolina, and 7 in Tennessee. And that's as of 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time on the 20th of May, in case you're watching this overnight, or perhaps you're watching it tomorrow morning on the replay. So Joe's got all the radars. He'll take a look at what's happening, and by all means, go for it.
Okay, well, in speaking of Kentucky, this is the weather radar from Jackson, Kentucky, or Noctor, if you will, and you can see that we have not one but two waves of possible severe weather. The first has pretty much cleared the state of Kentucky and is now moving into western sections of Virginia. Actually, it's moving so quickly. It's this particular line here. It's now actually moving as far into central Virginia and also crossing the state of West Virginia. But they're not done yet because you can see now coming up from behind is yet another area of potential severe weather moving toward the central part of Kentucky. And again, at least the central and southern section of Kentucky is under a tornado watch right now. So if you didn't get anything severe with this first zone that has moved on now into West Virginia and Virginia, keep your eyes peeled because here comes another round coming in from the west, and that round will probably be affecting central and eastern Kentucky over the next 1 to 3 hours. Let us check somewhere else here. Let's go back further to the west. Let's go to Louisville, Kentucky, Fort Knox, and you can see that the zone or the line, the area, the second area that I just mentioned is now moving in very quickly. If there's anything good to say about this, it's that notice that the area, the zones of red, the intense areas of thunderstorm activity, apparently have now waned to more of an orangey color. So it suggests that this area is diminishing in strength, but still quite potent and again moving at a fast forward speed. So if you're not going to get tornadoes, maybe you'll have damaging winds out of this, along with, of course, brief heavy downpours and vivid and dangerous displays of lightning. This area is crossing through western and moving now into central Kentucky and also grazing extreme southern sections of Indiana and also moving across portions of Tennessee. Speaking of, if we do go down to Tennessee, let's go to Fort Campbell and Trenton, and you can see that this line that we've been tracking or I've been talking about, there's actually like a renegade storm or cell of heavy precipitation moving out ahead of this second line in central sections of Tennessee. And this second line, as I said, it looks like this area is diminishing somewhat in potency as it crosses through western central Kentucky and western and central sections of Tennessee. Let's go a little further south. Joe, you said that you're under a tornado watch, so why don't we
Yes.
check out? Why don't we check out the
I
the
just finished
Atlanta.
landscaping my yard. I do not need a tornado to come through and undo everything I've done.
Well, right now, Atlanta, Georgia, Peachtree City, the radar not showing much of anything up your way, although there is some activity over in adjacent um, Alabama, and you can see that there. In fact, if we zoom in on that particular zone, this is High Top, Alabama, and you can see that High Top is right here. They have a couple of strong cells that are moving right toward the radar in from the west. And there's that area that we just mentioned over in western and central Tennessee. Actually, it looks like on this particular radar, the reds are still rather dark and rich and suggesting, again, some very potent storms with, again, the potential for severe weather, the potential for tornadic activity. This whole area that I'm showing you right now is indeed under a tornado watch. So, with good reason, as you can see on the radar there. Let's go further back to the west. We'll go into, let's see if I can get this to work here. There you go. Millington, Tennessee. And you can see here, there's that area, that line of crossing Tennessee, and is also moving now through parts of Mississippi. This is Arkansas right here. Doesn't appear to be very much happening down there, but again, here's Mississippi, here's Tennessee, and again, a lot of activity being shown on the radar, indicating again, especially take a look at this area right here in northern Mississippi. That looks rather fierce, and in fact, if we let's go further south into this is Greenwood or Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi. You can see that it's kind of like a broken squall line with embedded heavy duty showers and storms, and that area again traipsing quickly from west to east across Mississippi and heading toward Alabama. And again, this whole area. One more area I want to look at here that's also under a tornado watch is a zone that's on the Illinois-Indiana border. Right here, there's a tornado watch, and I guess this is the zone that they're watching for possible tornadic activity, crossing over from Illinois into Indiana. This is the Indianapolis radar, and they are picking up quite readily on this area of moderate to heavy to possibly severe thunderstorm activity. Again, some rather significant red areas of potential tornado activity here. Again, moving from west to east, in from Illinois and across into Indiana. And that is, again, a zone right up here, separate from the larger zones that are down to the south. But up here, I guess they're keeping an eye on this one area for the potential for tornadic activity. I want to go one more area, which is not under any watch or warning at the moment, but it does show a large area of what looks to be at least moderate rainfall. This is over Minneapolis. And notice, if you will, the movement of the precipitation cells moving from east to west, which suggests that there may be some kind of a storm system. In fact, there very definitely is some kind of a storm down here near the bottom edge of the radar screen. But you can see that all of this is mainly rain. It's not necessarily convective precipitation, but mostly rain. Some of it is moderate, maybe a bit heavy in some spots. And that again is centered. This is the Duluth, Minnesota radar, and you can see that they've got quite a bit of rain occurring there, and will probably continue to have rain into the first part of the night tonight. So, Joe, any place else or?
No, I think you got it covered. Yeah, I think you got it covered.
Okay.
All right, so off to the Storm Prediction Center to take a look. This is going to be the last day of this current stretch of really nasty severe weather. I mean, we've had like several days in a row where we've seen enhanced risk, moderate risk, and you can see the boxes here that are up for the tornadoes. We've got 5 tornado watches, including one in east central Illinois and west central Indiana, and the rest are across the Tennessee Valley and down into the central Gulf states. One severe thunderstorm watch in northwest Louisiana that's up. And the overall profile tonight is enhanced risk of severe weather, a very large area, all of Kentucky, down to North Georgia, Northwest Georgia, actually most of North Georgia except the extreme Northeast, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. And the tornado risk tonight is 10%. And also you see the hatched area, which is the risk for EF2s to EF5 tornadoes. And the wind, 45% chance of winds gusting at least to 50 knots. They don't have a hatched area in the wind tonight for 65 knots, and a small area of 30% probability of hail exceeding 2 inches in diameter. Now, tomorrow, with everything shifting to the east, we have a marginal risk. It's like a finger that points up from North Carolina northwestward into eastern Ohio, southwest PA. And then the southern flank goes to coastal South Carolina and Georgia and northern Florida. Also, a small area of marginal risk. And when they put marginal risk, they usually mean isolated severe thunderstorms. Marginal risk for northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, and northeastern Oklahoma. And day three, and this is for Thursday into Friday. General thunderstorm activity. The line is pushed up to over Long Island to just north of New York City, across northern New Jersey, and then cuts across Pennsylvania and then dips southward down into Kentucky as drier air comes in over the Great Lakes and pushes down into the Ohio Valley. But there is a marginal risk in parts of north central and northwest Texas, and there's nothing in the long range at this time, although I think over the weekend, some areas in the uh, middle and lower Mississippi River valleys are probably going to have to deal with some severe thunderstorms. As far as rain is concerned, now from eastern Ohio to up into southeastern New England, there's a fairly broad, uneven area of an inch and a half plus, and some of the darker purples would be indicating 2 inch rainfall amounts, or yeah, about 2 inches, or a little bit more than 2 inches, especially across Pennsylvania and especially in southeastern New England. The additional rainfall on top of what's fallen all this week with these thunderstorms still showing an area of 4 to 5 inches in southwest Missouri and into a small portion of northeastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas, and down into northern Arkansas. It's about 3 to 4 inches there, and the inch and a half areas extend further south into the Gulf Coast. Not much to worry about in the Southwest. So we got today's European. I've been kind of staying with the European model, Joe, because the GFS has just not been doing well at all, and it's been
No, it's
highlighted.
not.
A lot of people have been highlighting this um, on X, and also I've seen a few posts on Facebook, and not sure if it has to do with the fact that some of the balloon data is not going up as it used to. On the other hand, the European doesn't seem to be having this problem, and the GFS the GFS over time has had these, and all models do this to some extent, but this is a little extreme. The GFS has a reputation where it goes into these stretches where it's just awful. It just does not know what to do or where to go. So we could be in one of those periods. I think most of the professionals that I've seen opining on this are taking a sort of wait and see attitude to see whether this is just an anomaly or something more important. No matter. Um,
Well, that's what Dave Tolerus was. He did a long dissertation on this,
yeah,
and he indicated.
I saw what he said, and I agree with what he basically said is we just don't know
Yeah.
at this
No, you
point.
don't. For the moment, we don't. But I have a question. I mean, about the missing balloon data. I mean, that data is also fed into all the other models.
Right.
So,
But it's
so
not affecting,
wouldn't the other models suffer too, as well if the
and they're
GFS?
not. The European has been, European is just doing what it's been doing, which is doing pretty well. Not it's the GFS alone that seems to be in this never land,
Well, the ensemble members of the GFS only number what, about 25 or so,
something like that.
and
I think
the European numbers closer to 50.
50.
So I mean, like the greater number for the European in terms of the ensemble members, I guess, may be able to offset to a degree the missing balloon data that is being missed by models like the GFS that have fewer ensemble members.
Yeah, no, we'll have to see if it continues because we've seen this happen before. But the scores this time for the GFS are very low. I mean, it's really
Right.
bad this time around, and I've noticed it over the last number of weeks, where it just doesn't seem to have a good handle on how things are happening. I mean, in the short brain, it's okay, but once you get beyond, say, 48 or 60 hours, it just starts to really go off. Um, and, it happened a few times along the way where the model didn't really catch what was going on until we were inside 48 hours. So we'll see what happens. And of course, with the hurricane season coming up, it'll be interesting to see if we start seeing Category 5 hurricanes being spun up all over the place. But not a concern at the moment. Here's our low tonight as it moves through northern Illinois, getting forced to move east and southeast. The energy getting forced southeastward because of the block that's up between Iceland and Greenland. So that low is going to reform off the Delaware, New Jersey coast during Wednesday night. You see it's closing off the isobars Wednesday evening. And in the meantime, rain starts to spread northeastward into New England tomorrow afternoon. Initially, some of that rain kind of dries up, and then it comes back in tomorrow night. And there is some heavy rain being indicated over New Jersey tomorrow night by the European. And then you get a little surface low that starts to intensify when it's off the New Jersey coast, and the gradient along the New Jersey coast is not terribly tight, but from Long Island and points east, and particularly for southeastern New England, the gradient does get very tight here. So I think it's going to get windy. Uh, Long Island, southern New England, southeastern New England, out of Cape Cod. Probably going to see gales and maybe some gusts of 40 or 50 miles an hour. I don't know how much you're going to see, on land. This is not something that's going to spread big winds into, say, interior New Jersey or the Hudson Valley or for eastern Pennsylvania. It's mainly for the coast and further inland in New England, it might be a different story where there could be some gusty winds back into central Massachusetts and central Connecticut and Rhode Island. But there's your low, which by Friday, 2 a.m. Friday morning is sitting virtually on Cape Cod. So most of the rain, looks like the bulk of the rain is going to be Wednesday night and during the day Thursday, and then it's kind of showery rains for Friday. In the meantime, the severe weather tonight, of course, that's playing through, and you can see it here on the European, becomes less of an issue for the next couple of days. But as we go through the weekend, there is going to be an upper trough that's going to move southeastward. There's one on Thursday that brings a little bit of thunderstorm activity to the southern Appalachians, and then a bit of a break. And then the Europeans got a more complex and strong area of storms Friday night and Saturday morning in southeast Kansas into Missouri. And then it just sort of reforms another area in northern Missouri on Sunday. And that moves southeastward, and you see it there. And then you get a breakaway line that runs from Tennessee and Arkansas and moves almost straight south on Sunday. So that'll be pretty interesting. But this next system looks like it wants to get shunted to the south, although it has some rain touching southern New Jersey Sunday afternoon for a brief time. And then you got higher pressure. And that one thing that's going to be consistent, Joe, right through all of this is the fact that it's going to be darn cool, if not downright chilly, once the rain gets underway, where people were sitting in the upper 40s and low 50s while it's raining. And there's not going to be that much of a warm up with this cool high coming down, just rather chilly weather pattern and below normal temperatures right into the first part of next week.
Yeah, and you're talking about the differences between the GFS and the other models. Just a personal note here. Renata has to make a short trek, not short, but a trek into Pennsylvania the middle of next week. And I looked at the GFS, just long range, to see what she might be encountering if she does make that trip. And I said, "Ah, looks like you're going to have heavy rain for next week, another big disturbance heading our way." But then when I looked at the other models, European, Canadian, Icon, they have the system that the GFS is suggesting is going to batter us with another round of heavy rain, passing off to our south. So right there, you see the difference between the GFS and the other models in terms
Yeah.
of forecasting. Let's say, as you pointed out, beyond 5 days. Um, it seems like the GFS really, for the moment, unless it's having one of its periodic issues and will make a comeback in the coming weeks. It looks like for the moment, if you want to use the GFS, don't use it beyond 3 or 4 days because after that, it might be more or less useless.
Oh, I know. I totally agree. I just wanted to just look. I got the upper air up, and it's kind of interesting to see this deep upper low uh, sitting over Lake Superior. The system for Thursday, you get a cutoff that forms over southeastern New England and lifts up, and then you got the backside of that, and the upper low comes down. So you're basically in this northwest flow of cold, unstable air through Saturday, and even Sunday. There's still some of that left over, and even on Monday, another short wave it comes through. Although the models don't really show much with it, and I'm trying to see why European has got there's a little shortwave that's in the southwest that comes over the top and it kind of loses it, but there's definitely like kinks in the flow in Missouri and Arkansas with the reason why I guess maybe it's picking up and showing this, rather impressive looking line of storms that forms in Missouri and then moves southward. So there's a little bit of a kink in the flow, but just going, longer term. I mean, if the European is right, everything next week now gets suppressed way to the south with below normal heights in the east. And then look, there's another, trough that comes into eastern Canada, and then another cutoff at the end of the forecast period that drops down into the lower Great Lakes. So we still are seeing this tendency, Joe, for troughs to drop into the east. And I said this last night, and I'll say it again tonight. If that continues as we get into the month of June, depending on how they set up, this might start to bring some chances for severe weather, maybe more for the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast rather than where we're seeing it now, which is basically in the middle, in the middle of the country and in the deep South.
Yeah, well, these systems, and you don't expect to see them this late in the season. This is something that you'd see, in the late winter or early spring, but closed cutoffs like this should be just an unpleasant memory by this time. My goodness, we're just a little over a month away from the official start of summer, and we're still seeing cutoffs.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, I
fact,
mean, I can
somebody on the
remember
chat board
years
said,
ago, this was the sort of thing you'd see in the month of April. And that by the time you got to like mid-May, you really didn't see them any, except in the odd case here and there. But on the other side of that is in the past maybe 5 or 6 years, it's kind of been in reverse where April has been this sort of, non, I don't know how to exactly describe it, but it looks like the Aprils have been, you know, not showing the types of upper air patterns that you would normally see, and instead you're seeing them in May. Who knows why? Stuff happens. Not everything is because of the apocalypse. Sometimes stuff just happens, and I will leave it at that. So let's do a little bit of Griller Jeopardy, and I got it tonight. So we're still doing rainfalls here. Okay, yearly rainfalls in these following cities. So we're going to start tonight with Philadelphia.
and
Philadelphia.
this is annual rainfall now.
Annual rainfall.
Well, I will say, I'll say 50.
You could certainly say 50, but it would be incorrect.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
Chuck Cardillo is very close with 43, and Craig Carlberg is very close with 45. So the answer is 44 for Vincent Croce. Vincent Croce's smart. I gave him the bid and the ask. Wall Street talk now. I gave him the bid and the ask, and he split the difference at 44. And that is the correct answer, 44. Now, next, Joe, is Phoenix.
is where?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Well, last night we said Las Vegas only had 4 inches. I cannot see Phoenix being too much different. Um, I will say, but however, Phoenix, they do have these so-called monsoon season in July and August, where you can get some very heavy thunderstorms for however brief an interval of time. I'll say 6.
That's very, very close. Northern Grace got it, and so did Craig Carlberg and Rich Rothmansky at 7. 7.
Okay.
Richmond, Virginia.
Uh, 52.
A bit on the high side. A bit on the high side. Harold Olson at 35 is a bit on the low side. Frank R. and CWTR Shark with saying 47 is very close. Northern Grace and Craig Carlberg at 45, very close. So the answer is Carol DeCara at 46. 46. Let's do Rochester, New York now. Rochester, New York. One of these days, we're going to do Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah. Rochester. How about
Oh.
how about 48?
I would have kind of gone along those lines because everybody in the Northeast seems to be in the 40s, but Rochester, no. That's way too high, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. Frank Scalera is closer at 39. Maggie P is even closer at 38. Frank R, coming from the other direction, is closer at 34. Trying to see if anybody else has got any guesses. Norm Roberts even closer at 37. Vincent Croce is bidding 37 up. You bid too much. Adam Lowe at 36 and CWTR Shark at 36 is the correct answer. And the San Antonio, Texas.
Uh, uh, 53?
I was going to warn you to be a little careful with this. Yeah, Joe, way too high. Way too high. You're about 3 phoenixes too high. Uh, let's see. Donna G at 38 is closer, but still too high. Northern Grace is closer, and Frank Scalera, 37, still too high. Vincent Croce is Vincent. Let me put it like this, Vincent. 34 is the ask. Okay, 34 is the ask. And Rich Rothmansky at 32 is the bid. And A&M Weather, correct, 33. 33. Execute the trade. And speaking of which, Quiet John Joe just hit the tip jar. Thank you, Quiet John. Big hugs from me. Thank you for hitting Super Chat. And the bonus tonight, Joe, is Honey Lulu.
Honolulu. God,
Honolulu.
see, I might know this, except I loaned you before we left Fios One. I loaned you my Honolulu book or my Hawaii book on weather. uh,
I know it's here, Joe. I have no idea where.
oh, thanks a lot.
Okay. I got boxes up in the loft. I have no idea where this book could be.
So, in other words, I'm never going to see my my
No,
Hawaii.
no, I'll find it eventually. I just, actually, you know what? It's possible. I have a couple of boxes in the crawl space
All right,
sealed. It might be there, but yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not good with.
I'm going to say I'm going to. It's Honolulu. It's not Hilo. I'll
Yeah,
say. I'll
Honolulu.
say. I'll say. I'll say 27.
Yeah, now you see, because Hawaii is such a weird place, depending on what side of the island you're on. So
Exactly.
I see a number of you putting up numbers that are just so, really high, like in the 50s and low 60s. And I will tell you that of all the guesses here, every single one of them is way too high. Okay, way too high. Um,
This is for Rich Rothmansky. He says, "Give me a ring for his 58th birthday." So there
oh,
you
happy
go.
birthday, Rich Rothmansky.
Yeah,
Um, all right, so now if
I
you
was
were
58
getting
once,
the Chuck
Rich.
Cardillo, you're very close at 17. You're very close at 17.
Well,
And
how
nobody.
about eight? How
There
about
we go.
18?
Vincent Croce finally nailed it at 16. 16 inches for Honolulu.
All right, so I went the other way.
Yeah. I'll find the Hawaii book. It's here somewhere. So anyway, I guess that's it. My dog was on the bed at the start of the show, asleep, and then he got off the bed and went into his bed for like 2 seconds, and then he got out of that, and now he's sleeping on the other side of the bed on the floor over the air conditioning vent. But this is one mystery I will never know the answer to, and I don't understand what it is about me doing this podcast that he comes in here and he goes to sleep. I don't. I
You're
mean,
his
is it an
version.
editorial comment on the show? I don't know.
You're his version of Bob Ross for me. If I want to get some shut eye, and if I want to get a quickie nap or whatever, I flick on the Bob Ross channel, 24/7 at Bob Ross, and he can put me to sleep in 5 minutes.
Really? Yeah, I mean, just really weird. But and he doesn't. I don't think he's ever barked once during when the show's been on. So, and he's always listening for cars going by and barking when cars go by. But like I said, it's one of those things that I'm never going to know the answer to. So, anyhow, uh, back tomorrow night at the 7:30. What do we say? 7:30 tomorrow.
7:30. It's going to be a half-hour show. I have a presentation I'm giving tomorrow night, and I figure I'm going to. I hope I didn't cause a problem tomorrow because the
With me?
presentation I'm going to give is about comets, great
Okay.
comets of the past. And I asked the people who are putting the presentation together, or the club that I'm doing this for, I said, would you mind terribly if I had alerted, and on Facebook there's a group that specializes in comets, observations of comets, anything about comets. And they said, no, we don't mind. You promote it if you want. No big deal. So I did. I put an announcement and I included the Zoom link on the Facebook site for the International Comet Quarterly is the name of the Facebook group. And as of right now, Joe, there have been about 60 people who have hit the like button for that I'm giving that talk tomorrow night, and 7 people who have shared that. So I'm saying to myself, oh my God, instead of the normal maybe 20 or 30 people, how many more people are going to be coming tomorrow night to hear me speak from that other group, which is not local. This is worldwide. I mean,
Oh,
there may be people on the other side of the globe who may be setting their alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning just to tune in with the Zoom link that I gave them to hear me give my talk tomorrow night.
that's
So anyway,
impressive.
that's tomorrow night.
Oh,
So
very
we have to make
impressive.
that. So we have to make it a relatively short show. There'll probably not be any Briller Jeopardy tomorrow night, but we'll start a little earlier, instead of 7:35, 7:30. Do a full half hour, and then at 8 o'clock, I'm out.
William Uber says, speaking of comments, he wants to know how clean are you going to show us how clean to get your sink, which is a
Why?
reference, which is a reference to Josephine the plumber.
Yeah, Josephine the plumber. Was it George Carlin or what? No, it was Gene Shepard, the humorist. He was doing an interview with the late great Gene Rayburn, and they were talking about plumbers. And he said to Gene Rayburn, he says, "How come with Josephine the plumber, she always, whenever she went to a house, she always looked for tea stains?" That was it. I mean, like, he said, Why would I call a plumber to show me tea stains in my sink?" And you think about it, you have to be as old as Joe and I are, or of a certain age to remember.
It did seem really ridiculous. And it's not just once that they were called for tea stains; they were multiple times that they were
Yeah,
called for tea stains. Oh well. Anyhow, all right, 7:30, folks, tomorrow night, so 5 minutes earlier than usual, and we'll have a shorter show tomorrow because Joe's going to be busy. So we'll see you then. Have a great night. Stay safe, and hopefully I don't get a tornado to go through my yard. So fingers crossed on that.
we have our
And
fingers crossed for you, Joe.
thank you. All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Night night.
Good night.